People told me to stop looking or I would find something, so I stopped. I stopped checking his phone, stopped asking why he came home at 11, smelling like fresh soap and another woman's patience. Stopped noticing how fast he flipped his screen face down when I walked into a room, like the phone was shy and I was rude. I told myself maybe they were right. Maybe Dorian Pierce was a good man. Maybe I was letting fear make a fool out of me. Maybe marriage was supposed to have seasons where love felt like standing in a dark room pretending you could not hear something breathing. But life is a spiteful little thing. Because the moment I stopped looking for the truth came downtown, ordered chocolate cake, and let my husband feed it to her off his fork. It was a Thursday. I remember that because Maribel had dragged me out for tacos and a walk, and Thursday was the only night she did not have her nephew. We were standing on the sidewalk across from the Juniper Room, this dim, expensive place with velvet booths and lighting designed to make everybody look forgivable, and I was in the middle of a sentence about my anniversary dress when my mouth just stopped working. Because there he was, in the window booth, my husband. His arm was around a woman I had never met. His hand was resting on her waist like it paid rent there. And while I watched, he picked up his fork, cut a piece of chocolate cake, and held it up to her mouth. She leaned in and took it, slow, comfortable, like she had done it before, like the fork knew the way. I want to be honest with you, because this story does not work if I lie to you the way everybody lied to me. For about 8 seconds, I was not planning a divorce. I was planning a homicide, Equalizer style. I saw the steak knife sitting by his plate, and my brain, which is usually busy with grocery lists and payroll and remembering which of Dorian's cousins was mad at which, went quiet and did math. 21 steps to the door, 12 to the booth. The knife was on the left side of his plate because Dorian is left-handed and always moves it. And I knew that because I know everything about that man, because I am his wife. Was his wife. I could have it shoved in his eye in less than 34 seconds. Maribel grabbed my wrist before my feet finished deciding. Shyanne. What? Whatever you are thinking, don't. You don't know what I'm thinking. Baby, the look in your eyes is prison. Not a little county jail either. I mean documentaries, phone calls through glass, your mama crying on the news. Prison. He is feeding her cake. And you are not giving that man your freedom over dessert. I stood there on that sidewalk breathing like I had run somewhere, and I watched my husband smile at that woman with our whole life sitting on his ring finger, and something in me made a decision that I did not fully understand until weeks later. I laughed, one time. It scared Maribel worse than the knife math did. No, I said, we're not burying his body. Good, thank you, Jesus. She threw her hands up. We're burying his name. Maribel asked me later that night what that meant, burying a name. And I want you to know I was not calm when she asked. I was on her couch with mascara down my face, cussing that man from his edge up to his loafers, loud enough that her neighbor knocked once and then thought better of it. I am not a quiet woman. I have never been a quiet woman. Anybody who tells this story with me gliding around all cold and composed is lying to make it prettier. But somewhere in the middle of all that hollering, the plan showed up, whole, like it had been standing outside waiting for me to open the door. Nobody gave it to me. Nobody in my life would have dared suggest it. It was mine, and it was petty, and it was perfect. And the second I saw it, I stopped yelling and started smiling. And Maribel says that smile was the scariest thing she saw all night, knife included. I will tell you this much, so you know what kind of story you are in. The cheating was not the worst thing Dorian Pierce did to me. The cheating was not even close. By the time I found the worst thing, it had my handwriting on it. I had approved it myself, smiling, in a room with soft lighting, weeks before I knew what I was looking at. So let's go back to the beginning. Back before the cake, before the knife, back when I still thought the biggest problem in my marriage was a phone that slept face down. You have to understand what we were celebrating. Then I'll show you what he did to it. And remember, people told me to stop looking, or I would find something.
Before this gets any messier, drop where you're watching from and what time it is there. I need to know where the dreadfuls are when a woman stops chasing the truth, and the truth sits itself in a window booth. And if betrayal, karma, love, and a woman choosing receipts over rage move you, leave a like and subscribe. Now come on, because that chocolate cake was only the beginning.
Chapter 1. 5 years and a promise. The beginning is a dental office. I was 21, running the front desk and the books at Dr. Okafor's practice on Lamar, which meant I ran the whole building and got paid like I watered the plants. It was a Tuesday, 2:40 in the afternoon, and a man came through the door in a gray suit that fit him like a roomer, carrying a folder, and every hygienist in that office suddenly developed a question for the front desk. And I am going to describe this man for you now, and I need you to stay strong, because I did not. Tall, over 6 feet, lean like a man who worked out exactly enough to make suits behave, deep brown skin, smooth, even, the complexion of somebody who moisturizes on a schedule, fresh fade, lined up so sharp it looked like it should have hurt, and a goatee trimmed with the precision of a man whose relationship with his barber was more stable than most people's marriages. Strong jaw, easy eyes, handsome in that specific, dangerous way where he clearly knew it, but had never once said it out loud, so you could not even hold it against him. And the suit. Girl, it fit like a fairy godfather snapped it on him. "Afternoon," he said. "I'm looking for whoever makes the decisions around here." "She's looking at you," he smiled. And I need to take a second on that smile, because it is a load-bearing smile. In the years to come, that smile would get us an apartment our credit had no business in. It would make loan officers act like his co-signers. I met it first over a fake marble counter, brand new, full strength, aimed directly at me. And I did not fall for it. Not that day. I want that on my tombstone. He was selling appointment reminder software, commission only, I found out later. He laid the folder on my counter and gave me the pitch, and it was a beautiful pitch, numbers rising off it like church music. Missed appointments recovered, revenue reclaimed, and I let him do the whole thing. All 4 minutes, because it was a slow afternoon, and the man was very nice to look at. Then I pulled up our no-show log. "Your brochure says practices like ours lose $31,000 a year to missed appointments." "On average, yes, ma'am." "We lost 5,800. I know, because I chase every one of them personally, by phone, with my own personality, which is free." The hygienist had fully given up pretending to work. "So your software costs more than my problem. You're out here selling flood insurance in the desert, baby. And who sent you in here with an average? Averages are for people who don't know their own numbers. I know mine to the dollar." He stood there a second. "And here is the thing about Dorian, the thing I need you to understand early, because it explains the next 7 years of my life." He was not embarrassed. Any other man in that suit would have gathered his little folder and slunk on out. Dorian closed the folder himself, slow, like he was tucking it into bed, and looked at me with the pure delight of a man who had just watched his horse lose to a better horse. "You just cost me $140, he said. "You were about to cost Dr. Okafor $1,200 a year. I did the community a service." "You did." He tapped the counter twice. "What's your name?" "Shyanne. What's yours so I can warn the other offices?" The whole front desk fell out. The hygienist, the lady waiting on a crown, everybody. And he laughed too, a real one, from the chest, and pointed at me like I had scored on him fair. "Dorian Pierce. And I'm going to be honest with you, Shyanne, since you're clearly going to find out anyway. I have never once in my life been happy to lose a sale. This is a brand new feeling, and I would like to explore it over lunch. I don't eat with salesmen." "Good thing I'm not one anymore. You just retired me." He came back the next Tuesday, not to pitch. He brought lunch for the whole office, learned every hygienist's name in one pass, and then sat in my waiting room reading a golf magazine upside down until I agreed to give him 10 minutes so he would leave. He got 15. And somewhere in that 15, he said the sentence I have turned over 10,000 times since. And I need you to hear it the way I heard it at 21, which is to say, as the most romantic thing a man had ever said to me. "You're the first person who ever read my fine print," he said, and stayed anyway. 21-year-old me floated home. 28-year-old me would like the record to show that the man told me on day one, out of his own mouth, that he came with fine print. 2 years later, Dorian and I got married at the Hunt County Courthouse on a Tuesday afternoon, in a dress I bought off a clearance rack for $41. We began on a Tuesday and we married on a Tuesday, which used to feel like poetry to me. Now it just feels like scheduling. I was 23. He was 26. Between us, we had one reliable car, a mattress on a frame with no headboard, and $312 after rent. My mother cried at the courthouse, and not the good kind of crying. Selena Harris had raised me on the belief that how a thing looks is half of what it is, and her only daughter getting married next to a man paying a parking ticket did not look like anything she had prayed for. But I was not embarrassed. I want you to understand that. I have never once been embarrassed of how we started. Dorian held my hands in that hallway that smelled like floor wax and somebody's cold coffee, and he said, "This is the down payment. You hear me? One day I'm going to give you the whole thing. The dress, the flowers, the room full of people. I just need you to hold this receipt for me." And I did. For 5 years, I held the receipt. I held it while he quit the job at Brennan Logistics because his manager was, quote, threatened by him. I held it while we ate spaghetti 4 nights a week so he could finish his certifications. I held it while I did the books for a dental office in the daytime and his invoices at night, while I talked him off the ledge every time a client ghosted him, while I wore the same winter coat 3 years running so he could buy the suits, because in his world, he told me, the suit walks in before you do. And you know what? It worked. That is the part that makes this story hurt instead of just making it ugly. It worked. By our 5th year, Dorian Pierce Consulting had real clients, real contracts, an office downtown with his name on frosted glass. My husband became the man he had promised me on that courthouse Tuesday. So when he came home one night in March, poured 2 glasses of the good wine, and said he wanted to do the Vow Renewal, I cried into his shirt like a fool. 5 years, he said. 5th anniversary. We do it right. The Astor Hall, real flowers, your daddy in a suit, your mama finally getting her pictures. Then he set his glass down, and his voice did the thing it does when the pitch is coming. And Shy, listen. The expansion came through. Both partners signed Friday. New offices, the whole floor. We take on the big contracts now. Dorian Pierce Consulting is done. Come spring, we relaunch as Pierce & Vale, and I want to launch it the same night. I pulled back and looked at him. The same night? Same night, same room. Baby, think about it. Everybody who matters in this city in one place. They come for the love story. They leave knowing the brand. This is not just a party, Shyanne. This is us showing people what we built. Pierce & Vale, I said, trying it out. Who's Vale? Nobody. It's a brand thing. The consultant said Pierce by itself sounds like one man in a rented office. Pierce & Vale sounds like an institution. Costs nothing. Sounds like money. I laughed. I actually laughed. You paid somebody to invent you a fake partner. I paid somebody to invent me a future. He pulled me in by the waist. Our future. Our marriage or your business? He smiled that smile, the 240 smile, the one from the dental office counter, full strength, and this time it was not selling software. Both, he said. That's the beautiful part. I want to tell you, I heard the wrong note in that sentence. I want to tell you my stomach turned when he said the brand in the same breath as our vows. But that would be me lying to make myself sound smarter than I was, and I promised you I wouldn't do that. The truth is, I was happy. The truth is, I called Maribel that night and screamed, and she screamed, and we picked out imaginary dresses for an hour. The truth is, the uneasy feeling came later, and it came quiet, the way water comes into a house. Not through the front door, through a crack you had painted over because you did not want to know what it meant. He started coming home later. Not scandalous late, careful late, 9:40, 10:15. Late enough that dinner was cold, early enough that a complaint sounded petty. He guarded his phone like it was the president and he was Secret Service. And he had developed this new little habit where a message would come in, and he would glance at the screen without an expression, face completely neutral. He would then slide the phone in his pocket without opening it. You do not open the message in front of your wife when the message is for a version of you your wife has not met. I did not know that yet, but my body knew. My body had already started keeping records. Chapter 2, The Good Man, Everyone Protected. Here is what nobody tells you about suspecting your husband. The hardest part is not the suspicion. The hardest part is the committee. Because when a woman thinks her man is cheating, she does not get to just think it. She has to file her feeling with a whole panel of people who love him. And every one of them has an opinion. And every opinion comes with a warning label about her. I took it to my mother first. That was my mistake, and also, it was not a mistake at all, because my mother is my mother, and I was raised right. We were in her kitchen, and she was pressing wrinkles out of a church blouse she had already ironed once, which is what Selena Harris does when she wants to look busy while she judges you. Something's different with Dorian, I said. Different how? He's careful with me, like I'm a client, and he's on that phone smiling at things he won't let me see. My mother set the iron on its heel. Okay, what else? Nothing. Has anybody told you something? No, Mama, it's a feeling. It's the way he... Suspicion is not proof, baby. What do you call it when your stomach knows before your hands find anything? She looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something move behind her eyes that I did not have a name for yet. I have one now. It was fear. Not fear that I was wrong. Fear of what happens to a woman around here when she is right out loud. I call it a warning to move smarter, she said. Do not go accusing that man off a feeling, Shyanne. You accuse him and you're wrong. You have poisoned your own well. You accuse him and you're right, and you did it messy. Everybody will talk about how you acted instead of what he did. A woman's pain becomes entertainment real quick when the wrong people get a seat. So, I'm just supposed to smile? You're supposed to watch. You're supposed to get proof. There's a difference. My daddy was in the living room the whole time with the game on, and Vernon Harris did not say one word. But when I hugged him goodbye, he held on about 2 seconds longer than usual, and at the door he said, "Lo, you call me if you need me. I don't care what for." My father has never once trusted a man who smiles before he answers a question. He told me that when I was 16. He never said it about Dorian directly. He never had to. It sat in the room every Thanksgiving like an extra chair. The Pierce side of the committee was worse. Hattie Pierce, my mother-in-law, could hear one bar of criticism about her firstborn from a mile off, and she came dressed for it. I did not even bring it to her. She brought it to me. We were at her house for Sunday dinner, and I must have been quiet because Hattie does not allow quiet she has not approved. You look tired, Shyanne. I'm fine, Mama Hattie. She put another spoon of greens on my plate that I did not ask for, which is how Hattie Pierce announces she is about to correct you. You know, when Dorian's father was building the root business, I went 2 whole years without asking that man a single question after 7 p.m. Not one. You know why? Why? Because a question after a long day sounds like an accusation to a tired man. And an accused man starts wanting to be somewhere he isn't accused. She patted my hand twice, soft as a stamp coming down on paper. That launch is sitting on my son's whole back right now. So whatever you think you've been noticing, baby, notice dinner instead. Let that man come home to a peaceful house and wife. Now. I have replayed that little sermon many times since, and here is what I eventually understood about it. Hattie was not defending Dorian. Hattie was handing me her own survival manual, the one she wrote herself, decades ago. While she was married to a man nobody in that family talks about after the second glass of wine. She was not telling me my husband was faithful. She was telling me how she stayed married to one who wasn't. I could not hear all of that yet. What I heard was one more vote against my gut feelings. Devin was at that dinner too, Dorian's little brother. And I noticed how quiet he was, because I had started noticing everything. When Hattie said somewhere he isn't accused, Devin got very interested in his plate. Devin has one of those faces that files reports for him. He shifted, he reached for his water. He did not look at me. I did not know what Devin knew. I still don't know all of it, but he knew something. And then there was Cairo Bell, Dorian's boy since forever, all easy smiles and gold chain, always in our kitchen eating my food. I asked him straight one afternoon, half joking so I could deny it if I needed to. Cairo, my husband been behaving? He laughed too fast. Come on, Shy, man's working like a dog. Between the clients and boys' night keeping him sane, Dee barely has time to breathe. You got the last good one, you know that. Boys' night. Hold on to that because it is going to matter. So there I was, outvoted. My mother said watch quietly. His mother said the problem was my questions or intuition. His best friend said the man was a saint. His brother said nothing at all, which was the loudest answer in the bunch, but I could not hear it yet. The only person who did not treat my instincts like a hobby was Maribel. Maribel Reyes is my cousin on my daddy's side, 3 years older, and she has been my sister since we were kids, splitting a bag of hot chips on her mama's porch. I called her that night from my car in the grocery store parking lot because I could not say it inside my own house. Mari, am I crazy? About what? Dorian. Everybody keeps telling me he's a good man. His mama, my mama, Cairo, everybody. And I'm sitting here feeling like the only sober person at the party. She was quiet for a second, and Maribel is never quiet, so I knew she was taking me seriously. I'm not saying he's cheating, she said. That's new. Everybody else is saying he's not, or just wait. I'm saying your heart is loud, and I don't argue with a woman's heart once it has a target in sight. You've known that man 7 years. If the math feels off, somebody changed the numbers. I sat in that parking lot and cried for exactly 90 seconds, and then I fixed my face, and I drove home. I kissed my husband, and I asked him how the launch planning was going. Because my mother said watch, so I watched. Chapter 3, The Program. 5 weeks before the event, Dorian and I went to Lark and Slate events to review the program. Lark and Slate is the kind of place that makes you whisper for no reason. Linen samples in ivory, bone, and champagne, which are 3 words for white with a markup. Soft lighting. A long table where a woman named Brielle Sato ran our entire event off a tablet with the calm of an air traffic controller. I liked Brielle immediately. She had a sleek bob and flat shoes and the face of a woman who had survived 100 weddings and at least 3 fistfights over seating charts. Every other vendor at that event had gushed at me, my special day, my vision, my journey. Brielle asked what time my hair appointment was, wrote it down, and mentioned that the florist I loved had a little habit of swapping in cheaper roses at the last minute. So she had already made him initial a line in the contract saying he would not. I would have followed that woman into traffic. So, she said, the run of show, cocktail hour, seated dinner, the vow renewal ceremony, then we transition into the Pierce and Vale launch presentation, then Mrs. Pierce's anniversary tribute, then dancing. The program covers both halves. She slid the proof across the table. Drafts already in design review, but we can still make changes tonight. Heavy cream cardstock. Our names on the front in gold. Dorian and Shyanne Pierce, 5 years. And on the back, because my husband never met a moment he would not sponsor, a full page of professional acknowledgments, his launch team, the firm's partners, vendor credits like movie credits. I was reading it the way you read things when you're happy, which is to say, barely, when a title caught my eye. Brand Experience Coordinator. Those were kitchen words. Those were Dorian's words from the night he pitched me the launch while I cried into his shirt. Somebody on the brand experience. Best in the city. He had said it exactly once, months ago, and here it was in gold-adjacent print on my anniversary program, so I did what anybody would do. I looked at the name attached to my husband's favorite phrase, Noelle Taylor, Brand Experience Coordinator, Pierce and Vale Consulting Launch Team. Noelle Taylor, I said. Dorian did not look up from his phone. Brand side, she helped tighten the launch experience. The launch experience. Event flow, the presentation visuals, how the firm shows up in the room. He glanced at me, and something in my face must have been doing what my face does because he smiled and reached over and squeezed my knee. Baby, don't make that face. It's boring work stuff. You want to hear about brand touch points? I'll send you the deck. It'll put you right to sleep. How long has she been on the team? Since the rebrand started. He was back on his phone. Why? Because I know your barber's name. I know your dry cleaner's name. I know the name of the man who details your car and his daughter who's at Prairie View. And the best consultant in the city has been working on your firm for months, and I am reading her name for the first time on my own anniversary program. Because she's not interesting, Shyanne. He said it light, with the little laugh on the end, the one that files your question under cute. What do you want? A staff directory on the nightstand? Gerald from accounting's birthday? Baby, I keep work at work so that when I walk through that door, it's just us. That's not a crime, that's a courtesy. And here is the thing I need you to understand about being married to a salesman. That answer was smooth, warm, reasonable, and had a little compliment for our marriage tucked inside it, and it was not an answer. I had asked him why I'd never heard of her. He told me why he was a good husband. That man could answer the question beside the question all day long, and he did it so well you tipped him for it. She's also listed for the vendor walkthrough next week, Brielle said, scrolling, and she's on the distribution for the run-of-show emails. Of course she is, I said. One more program item, Brielle went on, tapping. The launch team acknowledgments. Did you want those print only or read from the stage? Stage, Dorian said. No pause, didn't look up. People remember hearing their name in a room. Print is just wallpaper. I want that entered into the record. 5 weeks out, cool as an invoice, my husband personally arranged to stand at a microphone at our anniversary and say his mistress's name out loud to 400 people. Nobody made him do that. I did not have to engineer one single thing about that moment. All I ever had to do was not cancel it. And the tribute, Mrs. Pierce, Brielle said. Will yours include media? If there's a video component, I need the final file 2 weeks out. Photos, I said. 5 years of them. I'll build it myself. Oh, it'll be good. Dorian's arm went around the back of my chair, proud, easy. Shyanne keeps everything. Ticket stubs, receipts, pictures, all of it filed. Whatever she puts on that screen is going to tell the whole story. It's going to tell the whole story. I want it noted, for history, that the man said it himself. I want to stop the story here and be fair to the woman I was in that room, because it is easy to watch this from your couch and holler at me. Girl, the name is right there. Girl, wake up. But hear me. At that point, Noelle Taylor was one name in a column of 11 names. I did not know her face. I had never heard my husband say her name out loud, not once, which, by the way, I later learned was not an accident. Men do not forget to mention the woman. Men manage the mention. He had scrubbed her out of every story about his workday so completely that her name on that program looked like nothing at all. It looked like nothing but felt like something. My eyes kept going back to it while Brielle talked about uplighting. Noelle Taylor, Brand Experience Coordinator. The title explained why I looked. It did not explain why I kept looking. That part was my stomach, doing that thing again, that quiet, cold drop, the same one from the phone and the careful 940s. "Everything all right, Mrs. Pierce?" Brielle asked. And I looked at that composed, watchful woman, and for one wild second, I almost said it. "No, something is wrong in my house and I can't find it. But you do not say that to the event planner. You do not say that anywhere, apparently," I had checked. "It's perfect," I said. "Print it." Lord, print it. I approved that program myself. I want you to sit with that the way I had to. Whatever else happened at the Astor Hall, understand that Dorian Pierce watched me hold a document with his mistress's name on it, read it, frown at it, and hand it back. And he was concerned with ordering the champagne. Chapter 4, Downtown with Maribel. A few days after the planning meeting, Maribel showed up at my door with her big curls tied up in a silk scarf and her car keys already in her hand. "Get dressed." "Mari, I have emails." "You have a haunted look and a husband who texted you at 4 o'clock that he's got boys' night. You are not sitting in this pretty house doing forensic accounting on your own marriage. Put on your boots, the good ones, and let's go." That was true, by the way, about the text. It had come in at 4:07 that afternoon. "Dorian, boys' night with Cairo and them, don't wait up. Love you, lowercase, no punctuation, the way a man signs off when his fingers are already busy being somebody else." "How do you even know about boys' night?" "Because you texted me at 4:09. He's got boys' night again," with the little upside-down smiley. She jingled the keys at me. "That emoji is a cry for help, Shyanne. I got in the car." "It's just an emoji." "It's a flare gun, boots." I put on the boots, skinny jeans, and an off-the-shoulder knit sweater. Downtown Esby on a Thursday is exactly what a fast-money Texas city looks like when it is trying on grown clothes. Valet stands outside restaurants that were pawn shops a decade ago. Girls in dresses too thin for the wind. Somebody's bachelorette party screaming in matching sashes. Maribel bought us tacos from the truck she trusts, the one that does not trust flour tortillas, and we walked and ate and talked about nothing. Maribel nodded at the sashes going by. Give it 18 months. "Mari." "What?" I said what I said. The one in the veil has checked her phone 4 times since the crosswalk, and none of those smiles made it to her eyes. "You are a terrible person." "I am an accurate person. Eat your taco." It was the best I had felt in a month, which is how the world works. It softens you up first. Somewhere around the second taco, she bumped my shoulder. "All right, say it." "Say what?" "Whatever you've been carrying around your neck since I picked you up. You've been chewing on something that is not this taco." I watched the traffic for a minute. It is a strange thing, saying it out loud. You can think a thing for weeks, and it stays soft. Say it once, and it gets a spine. I still think Dorian's cheating on me. Maribel did not gasp. She did not say no, girl, never. She wiped her fingers on a napkin, real slow, and said, "Tell me why." So I told her. The 940s, the phone, the smile at the screen. The way he had started complimenting me the way you compliment your aunt, sweet and nowhere. The name on the program that I could not stop hearing. And Maribel listened all the way through without once making the face people make when they are drafting their defense of the man. When I finished, she nodded. "Okay," she said. "So we watch. We don't accuse, 'cause your mama's right about that part. The messenger always catches it worse than the message. But we watch. And Shyanne, if it's true." She looked at me, and all the play went out of her face. "You come to me first, before you do anything. You hear me? Me first." "Why you first?" "Because I love you enough to help you bury the body, and I love you enough to stop you from jumping off the bridge in his place. Not everybody in your life can do both." "Deal. Say it like you mean it. You first, I promise." Good. The play came back into her face like a light switching on. "Now walk. The churro man packs up at 9, and I am not built for that kind of loss tonight." We turned onto Juniper Street because that is the pretty block, the one with the gold lights, and we were maybe 30 feet from the Juniper room when I stopped walking. You already know why. But I need you to see it the way I saw it because the cold open was the highlight reel and this is the game. Chapter 5. The Cake and the Knife. The Juniper room has one big window in front, and behind it, a row of velvet booths lit gold, arranged like a display case. Which is funny when you think about it. All those people paying extra to sit somewhere private and visible at the same time. I saw him, the third booth from the left, Dorian. My first thought, and I am telling you this because it is true and because it is pitiful, my first thought was, oh, he's here. Warm reflex. 7 years of my body being glad to see that man before my brain could file an objection. Then, the rest of the picture loaded like a Polaroid. The woman beside him, not across from him, beside him, tucked in under his arm like a coat. Light golden skin, dark blonde waves, one of those slippery little satin tops that cost more than it weighs. Younger than me. Pretty in the way that is a job skill she puts on her resume. I knew his hand was on her waist just by the way his shoulder tilted, not landing there, living there. And on the table between them sat one slice of chocolate cake with 2 forks. Only one fork was working, and it was his. While I stood on a public sidewalk holding half a taco, my husband cut a bite of that cake and carried it up to her mouth. She took it off his fork with her eyes on his face. Then she laughed at something he said and put her hand flat on his chest, right over the pocket where he keeps the phone he will not open in front of me. The sound went out of the street. I do not know how else to describe what happened next, so I will let Maribel describe it, because she was the one watching me instead of the window. She says I went still and quiet. That scared her worse than screaming would have, because she has seen me scream. Screaming Shyanne is a hurricane. You board the windows, you wait her out, everybody survives. But this was not calm, and Maribel knew it because my whole body had turned toward that door like a compass finding north. Here is what the quiet was doing. It was noticing that the steak knife sat to the left of his plate because he is left-handed and always moves it. It was counting. 21 steps to the door, a hostess stand, easy to pass, another 12 to the booth. I am not proud of it. I am not ashamed of it either, and I have made my peace with both of those sentences living in the same woman. Anybody who tells you they saw that and felt nothing in their hands is lying to you or to themselves. Shyanne. What? Whatever you are thinking, don't. You don't know what I'm thinking. Baby, the look in your eyes is prison. She had my wrist now, both hands, planted like a woman holding a dog that has seen a squirrel. Not baby jail, real prison, documentaries, your mama on the news. He is feeding her cake, Mari. And you are not giving that man your freedom over dessert. I want to go in there. No, you want to be on the first 48, and I have seen every episode, Shyanne. The cousin never gets away with it either. He's sitting there like I'm dead. My voice cracked on it, and I hated that. I hated it, because rage is clean and hurt is not, and both of them were fighting for the microphone in my chest. Look at him. Look at his face. He hasn't looked at me like that in a year, and he's spending it on her, in public, in a window, like I don't exist. Maribel got in front of me, blocked the whole view with her body, hands on my shoulders, her face 6 inches from mine. Then let him plan the funeral, she said, but it's gonna be his. You hear me? His, not yours. Maribel made me look at her. You go through that door right now and it's yours. He walks away sad for a month and you do 15 years, and that bitch in there tells the story at brunch for the rest of her life. Is that the ending you want? Is that what we're doing? Let me know now. I'm with you either way. I looked over her shoulder one more time. Dorian threw his head back laughing. The knife sat there still calling my name. Then something in me stepped back from a ledge. I turned around and started walking down the street. I felt it happen. It felt dark and calm at the same time. And if I am honest with you, it felt good. I laughed once. Maribel flinched. No, I said. We're not burying his body. We're burying his name. Okay. She let out a long breath. Okay. See that. I can work. I took one last look at the booth, at the cake, at the whole golden lie of it. That is when I caught him. A man in a black button-down was moving between the tables with a water pitcher, and he had stopped, and he was looking straight through the glass at us. Not at the booth. At us. Two women walking up the sidewalk like a sculpture called Almost. He held the look for exactly as long as it takes to count two women and one problem. Then he went back to pouring. His name was Thomas. Remember him too. Maribel walked me to her car with her arm through mine like I was recovering from surgery, which, in a sense, I was. I sat in her passenger seat and my hands finally started shaking, now that it was safe, and I let them. Your place, I said. I can't look at my house tonight. Already driving there. And Mari, I know, baby. He's feeding her cake. It came out half sob and half laugh, the ugliest sound I've ever made. Chocolate cake. I make him chocolate cake. Every birthday, from scratch. My grandmother's. I know. He doesn't even like restaurant cake. He says it's dry. I know. So either he's suffering through dry cake for that woman, or he's been lying about the cake too. And Mari, I swear to God, I don't know which one is worse. Maribel reached over at the red light and squeezed my hand, and she said the thing that got me through the next 6 weeks. Both are worse. Now stop crying over his taste in dessert and help me figure out who she is. Chapter 6. Noelle Taylor. Maribel's apartment is my favorite place on this earth. Plants she talks to, candles she never blows out all the way, a couch that has absorbed 15 years of our worst nights. She sat me on that couch, put a mug of coffee in my hands, took my phone away from me, and opened her laptop like a woman starting a shift. At 10:52 p.m., my phone lit up on the counter. Maribel read it out loud in a flat voice like evidence. Dorian, Cairo talking my ear off, LOL. Be home by 12. Don't wait up, baby. Cairo. At that exact moment, my husband's mouth was downtown doing things I had watched through a window, and his thumbs were in the room with Cairo Bell. Screenshot it, I said. Maribel looked up at me over the laptop. Screenshot it. The 4 o'clock one, too. Boys' night. My voice sounded strange to me. Level. Administrative. If I'm not allowed to stab him, then I'm going to file him. There she is, Maribel said softly. There's my girl. She screenshotted both texts and emailed them to an address she made me create that night. A plain little account Dorian had never heard of, and that account became the filing cabinet. Everything went in it from then on. Everything. Then she picked up her phone and called the Juniper Room. You should know that Maribel knows people the way other folks know songs. She grew up around downtown when downtown was still cheap, and Thomas Vega, the man in the black button-down, had run the floor at 3 different restaurants she had worked or partied in over the years. She did not put him on speaker at first. I just watched her side of it. Tomas, Maribel, yeah, that was us. A pause. You saw that, huh? Another pause, longer. She looked at me. Booth by the window, the man in the gray suit. What name was the reservation under? I heard the answer myself because she tilted the phone, a low, dry, tired voice. Reservation was under Taylor. 7:30, 3rd time this month. A beat. I did not tell you that. People think dim lighting makes them invisible. It does not. And Maribel, whatever's going on, keep it off my floor. She hung up. We looked at each other. Taylor, she said. And I heard it. I heard it the way you hear your own name across a loud room. My whole body went cold and certain at the same time, and I said, Noelle Taylor. Who's Noelle Taylor? Give me the laptop. I typed her name with my hands, not quite steady, and there she was in half a second. Because women like Noelle are always findable, being findable is the business model. Professional headshot, soft smile, glossy waves, Noelle Taylor, brand experience, launch strategy, making moments that move people. Her profile had photos from client events, and I scrolled, and in the fourth one, there was my husband, a Pierce and Veil networking mixer from last fall. Dorian in the navy suit I bought him, Noelle beside him in cream, both of them holding glasses, standing the correct professional 10 inches apart. Last fall. This had a birthday. Okay, Maribel said carefully, watching my face. Okay, so she's some marketing girl who... Mari. What? I know that name. I didn't just find it. I approved it. I pulled up my email, and there it was, the proof from Larkin Slate, the heavy cream program with the gold letters. And I turned the laptop around and pointed at the acknowledgments page. And I watched my cousin read it, and I watched her face do what mine must have done. Noelle Taylor, brand experience coordinator, Pierce and Veil consulting launch team. Her name looked different the second time. The first time it had been professional, harmless, so he said, another polished piece of Dorian's new world. Now it had a bite to it. Maribel put her hand over her mouth. The anniversary program. My anniversary program. Shyanne. He put her on the program, Mari. I stood up because sitting was suddenly impossible. He didn't sneak her into a hotel. He didn't hide her in another city. He gave her a title. He let her plan it. The flowers, the presentation, the flow, that's her word, the flow of the night. I renew my vows, the ones about forsaking all others. He let the others help write the program. Okay, breathe. He's going to stand up in front of both our mamas and God and 400 people and promise me forever. And she is going to be in the room, on the payroll, in the credits. She has a vendor walkthrough Tuesday, Mari. She's walking through my anniversary on Tuesday. I ran out of air and stood there in her living room at midnight with my chest heaving, and Maribel let the silence sit for a second, and then she asked the only question that mattered. So what do you want to do? And think before you answer, because whatever you say next, I'm helping you do it. So make it something I can visit you without an appointment for. And this is the part I need you to understand, because everything at the Astor Hall grew out of this 1 minute on this one couch. I thought about confronting him that night, standing in the kitchen at midnight, phone in his face, screaming, and I could see exactly how it would go because I knew my husband. The soft eyes first. Baby, where is all this coming from? Then the reframe. She's a colleague? You followed me now? Then, when I did not fold, the temper dressed as hurt. You really think this little of me, after everything. And by morning, the phone calls would start, and Hattie would sigh about my insecurity, and Cairo would back the boys' night story, and my own mother would say I moved too fast, and it would become the thing my mama warned me about. My reaction on trial, his crime in the audience. He had spent years building a jury. I was not going to win in his courtroom, but he was building a new courtroom. A big, beautiful one with flowers, a stage, a microphone, and a guest list of every single person who had ever called him a good man. And he had already personally put the defendant's name on the program. I want to keep planning the party, I said. Maribel blinked. Come again? I'm going to smile through the fittings. I'm going to approve the menu. I'm going to let him stand up there feeling like the man of the year. And then at that event, in front of every person who told me to stop looking, I'm going to show them what I found. I sat back down, calm as Sunday. He wanted one night that showed everybody what we built. Fine, we'll show them. Maribel stared at me for a long moment. Then she got up, went to the kitchen, and came back with the good wine and 2 glasses. Drink this coffee first, she said, trading me the mug for a glass anyway. Then we plan. And Shyanne, we're doing this smart or we're not doing it. I will help you ruin him. I will not help you make the evening news. Deal. She poured. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. We clinked glasses over her coffee table like 2 women signing something. Chapter 7, The Wife Who Kept Planning. Now I have to tell you about the hardest 6 weeks of my life, and I have to tell it honest because this is the part people romanticize. They imagine the wronged wife gliding around in silk, cold and gorgeous, sipping wine while the trap assembles itself. Let me tell you what it is actually like to sleep next to a man you are dismantling. It is nauseating. That is the first thing. He came home at 11:40 that first night, smelling like a shower he had no business taking, and kissed my forehead. He had the nerve to tell me that Cairo said hi, and I said, "Tell him hi back," into the dark. And then I lay there next to 7 years of my life, listening to him fall asleep the way innocent people do, fast and easy, and I stared at the ceiling, calculating everything that had happened since last fall. The performance had two audiences, him and me. Fooling him was easier than fooling myself. Every morning I woke up and put on the wife costume, and every morning there was a moment at the bathroom mirror where I looked at myself and asked whether I was really built for this, the long game, the smile, the wait. I am not a patient woman. Everybody in this story will tell you that. My whole life I have been the match, not the fuse. But here's what I learned about myself in those 6 weeks. And maybe this is the real story underneath the story. My rage normally explodes loud and fast, but a patient rage that can change the landscape of a city, making it into what you want. So I stayed patient and watched the landscape erode slowly. I used my time to build my new city and waited for the naming ceremony. The questions. I started asking Dorian small, soft questions with trapdoors in them. Never accusations, curiosity, wife interest in her husband's exciting career. So this Noelle from the program, she good at her job? He did not flinch. I will give him that forever. The man did not flinch. She's fine. Brielle's people mostly handle the event side. Noelle's just on brand deliverables. Interesting. Brielle would later tell me, without knowing she was telling me anything, that Noelle had personally sat in on 2 run-of-show meetings and requested the tribute slot be moved earlier so the launch presentation could close the night. His mistress tried to move my anniversary tribute out of the anchor spot to make more room for the brand. I let her think she had. More on that later. Y'all ever have to work late together? I asked another night, folding his shirts. Babe, he laughed. Easy, warm, and came over and wrapped his arms around me from behind, and I let him, and I want a medal for it. You gonna interview me about every name on that program? You want to meet the caterer's references too? I might. I heard the short ribs are suspicious. He laughed for real then and kissed my neck and said, "This is why I married you." And I stood there in that man's arms thinking, no, you married me because I carried you. You're about to find out how heavy you are. The receipts. By week 2, the filing cabinet had the boys' night texts, time-stamped against the night I watched him at the Juniper Room. Maribel's photos from the sidewalk that night, which existed because my cousin, God bless her petty, brilliant heart, had quietly raised her phone while she was talking me off the ledge. Him, the booth, the woman, the fork. Blurry enough to be real, clear enough to be him. Noelle's launch team credit on the program, plus the vendor emails from Lark and Slate with her copied on them, dating back 3 months. The networking mixer photos from last fall. And the walkthrough sign-in sheet from the Tuesday she toured my venue, which Brielle attached to a routine planning email with the subject line walkthrough recap, plus updated floor plan, because Brielle Sato documents everything. And thank God for women who document everything. Cairo slipped in week 3. He came by for the game, and at halftime, alone in the kitchen with me, reaching into my refrigerator like family, he said, "Man, I've barely even seen D this month. Dude's been a ghost." I kept stirring what I was stirring. "That's funny. He said y'all had boys' night on the 17th. The refrigerator got very quiet. I heard Cairo do the math, and I heard the exact second he hit the wrong answer, because he came up with a beer he did not open and said, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. We, for a little bit, yeah." And I turned around and smiled at him and said, And Cairo Bell looked at me, and I looked at Cairo Bell, and both of us knew. and neither of us said one word. He barely came around after that. Guilt needs distance to stay comfortable. Devin almost said it in week 4. Family dinner at Hattie's. Dorian was holding court about the launch. RSVPs, some client he had bagged, and Hattie was glowing at him like a stage light. And Devin, 3 beers in, said, "Must be nice, man. Whole world just organizes itself around you." "What's that supposed to mean?" Dorian said, smiling. "Means what it means. Some of us clean up our own messes, that's all." "What mess?" Devin looked at him a beat too long, looked at me for half a second, which he should not have done because I caught it and filed it. Then Hattie said, "Devin, fix your attitude at my table." And he shrugged and went back to his plate, and the moment closed over like water. Devin knew something and didn't like the position it put him in, but he kept it in a little longer. And then there was the montage. This is my favorite part, so I saved it. Part of my anniversary tribute was a video, photos, and clips from 5 years, set to music, ending with me at the microphone saying something loving. Dorian asked twice if he could see it early. Twice. And both times I put my hand on his chest and said, "Absolutely not. It's a surprise. You'll cry." "I don't cry." "You'll cry." He kissed me and said, "You're something else, you know that?" I did know that. What else I was, petty boots, and he'd find out at the party. I built 2 versions of that video. The real one, for cover, all sweetness, in case anyone needed to see a file. And the second one, on a laptop Dorian had never touched, that started identical for 90 full seconds. Courthouse photo, spaghetti years, the frosted glass office, before it turned into something no one in that room would ever forget. Brielle sent the final program proof in week 5. Please confirm no further changes. Noelle Taylor's name sat in the acknowledgments, clean and printed and proud. Confirmed, I wrote back. No changes. You keep your name right there, sweetheart. You earned the credit. There was one night near the end I almost broke. Dorian came home early for once, actually early, and he found me at the kitchen table with fabric swatches, and he sat down across from me and looked at me, really looked, first time in months, and said, "You've been quiet lately." Quiet. Me. No. That is how far gone the man was. His own wife had been replaced by a woman running a 6-week demolition with a smile on her face, and his professional read on the situation was quiet. So I decided to play with my food. "I've been listening lately." "To what?" And I looked at my husband across the table we bought at an estate sale in year 2, the table we ate spaghetti at, the table I did his invoices on. And I laid the whole truth out on it, right there in the open, just to watch him not pick it up. "The spaces between your stories," I said. He laughed a little, uncertain, the laugh of a man checking whether the joke was on him. "The spaces between my stories." "Mm-hmm. You tell good stories, Dorian. You always have. It's the commercial breaks I find interesting." "Okay." He leaned back and crossed his arms, settling in to handle me. "What is this? Is this about the event? Because if the planning is wearing you out, say the word. Brielle's people can take more of it." "The planning is the only thing keeping me sane, baby. I know exactly where everything is going to be on that night. Every chair, every screen, every name, down to the letter. See, that right there." He pointed at me, smiling, relieved to have found a diagnosis. "That's the perfectionism. You've been running yourself into the ground over this party." "Our anniversary." That's what I said. "No, you said this party." "Shyanne." He rubbed his eyes, patient, so patient. "Anniversary, party, launch. It's one night. Don't do the word police thing, not this close to it. Everything I'm building is for us." He held my eyes for a moment, and I watched a decision happen in him. I watched my husband look directly at his last exit and decide it was nothing. "You need a vacation," he said, and squeezed my hand and got up to make a plate. "Matter of fact," he said from the stove, his back to me, easy as anything. "After the event, take Maribel somewhere with a beach. My treat. You've earned it." Really? I asked with sickly sweetness. You think so? For real, Shy. You deserve a break. I sat there smiling at that man's back like a woman already dressed for the funeral as he walked out. Okay, I thought. Okay then. Enjoy the church newsletter, baby. Chapter 8, Paperwork Before Payback. 2 weeks out, Maribel showed up at my job on my lunch break and said, "Get in, we have an appointment." With who? A grown-up. Ellis Rowan's office was on the 4th floor of a quiet building, and Ellis Rowan matched it. Reading glasses, gray suit, a face like a man who had heard every terrible excuse a marriage can produce and stopped being surprised somewhere around the second Bush administration. Family law, 18 years. A friend of Maribel's old boss. Maribel had booked the consultation without asking me, which is the most Maribel sentence in this entire story. Ellis did not ask me how I was doing. He picked up a pen. Married? How long? 5 years next month. Children? No. Property? The house, both names. And his firm, which I helped build. Define helped. His books and his invoices for 4 years, nights after my own job. I can show you my handwriting in his records back to the beginning. Ellis wrote that down with a little more interest than the house got. And the affair. How do you know? I watched him feed her chocolate cake through a restaurant window. Nothing, not a blink. The pen kept moving. Date? March 17th? You're certain? There are photographs, Maribel said. Time-stamped, also 2 texts from the same night claiming he was somewhere else. He looked at Maribel for the first time, over the top of the reading glasses. Somebody in this room has instincts. I watch a lot of Dateline. It shows. Back to me. What do you want, Mrs. Pierce? Take a second. People usually get this wrong. I did not need the second. Do you want to know what I want or what I plan to do? Both. In that order. So I laid it out. The affair, the program, the event, the tribute, all of it. And Ellis listened without expression, taking notes, and when I finished, there was a long pause, and then, do you want to hurt him or do you want to leave clean? I want both. Then we start with clean. Hurt can wait its turn. Ellis set the pen down. Do you know his passwords? All of them. As of this moment, you have never met his passwords. You log into nothing, not the shared streaming account, nothing. Even the nothing. The second you touch his accounts, his lawyer stops talking about the affair and starts talking about you. You become the story. Understood? Understood. What about recording him? Maribel leaned in. She could get a confession in that kitchen in one evening. The man narrates his whole life. You come to me before anybody presses record. The rules change with the room, and possibly legal is where good cases go to die. Ellis turned back to me. Last one. Between now and that event, you do not threaten him. Not in writing, not in the driveway, not through his mother. A threat turns your evidence into your problem. Do not threaten him. Document him. What about the event itself? Maribel asked. Can she legally, show a slideshow of true things at her own party? Something moved at the corner of Ellis's mouth that was almost a smile. Keep it factual. Show what happened, not what you think of it. No accusations you can't back with what's in that folder. That folder can back plenty. Then understand something, Mrs. Pierce. Ellis leaned forward. I've watched people win the moment and lose the case. I'm not losing anything else to that man. Then the paperwork comes first. Petition drafted, your separate finances protected, your documents secured out of the house, all of it done and quiet before that night. You walk in there already gone. The party is just the announcement. I looked at this dry, very unimpressed man, and I felt something I had not felt since the sidewalk outside the Juniper Room. Solid ground. Draft it, I said. Over the next 10 days, quietly, It all happened. My own account. My documents out of the house and into a safe deposit box. Copies of everything in the filing cabinet organized the way Ellis wanted because, and I quote, "Screenshots are not a strategy until they are organized." At the last meeting, Ellis slid the petition across the desk in a plain manila envelope, and I slid it back. Can it go in a cream envelope instead? 5x7, square flap? Ellis looked at me over the glasses. It'll match the event stationery, I said. The programs, the place cards, all of it is that cream. He'll take it out of my hand without even looking at it. People take what matches. There was a silence in that office I would frame if I could. People take what matches, Ellis repeated slowly, and wrote it down, actually wrote it down, like a citation. You would have been dangerous in law school. She's dangerous at brunch, Maribel said. You should see her with a mimosa and a grudge. At the end of that meeting, he walked us to the elevator and said one more thing. Mrs. Pierce, the night of, whatever happens, you say your piece and you leave. You do not stay for the aftermath. The exit is the statement. Everything after the exit is just noise that can be used against you. The elevator doors opened, and Mrs. Pierce, a pause. Off the record, the program thing. Ellis shook his head slowly, the first human gesture I'd seen from him. 18 years, that's a new one. Somehow, that helped more than anything. Even the professionals had never seen a man do this. Chapter 9, The Night of the Celebration. The Astor Hall looked like a rich man's promise. Tall windows going gold with the sunset, white florals climbing the stage like they had somewhere to be, a projection screen the size of a garage door, waiting, round tables dressed in ivory, a champagne wall, a live trio playing music that sounded like money learning to relax. Brielle moved through all of it with her tablet and her headset, adjusting the world 1 inch at a time. 400 people. Dorian's clients, his fraternity brothers, and church folks. My people. His people. 2 families, 1 open bar, and a loaded gun under the flowers that only 3 people in the building knew about. I wore purple. I know the internet says the wife wears white to reclaim the night, or red to burn it down, but I am not the internet. My grandmother used to say, "Wear the color of the truth you're telling." Red would have told that room I was angry. Purple told them who was in charge. And here's a piece of history for you, free of charge. Purple is what queens wear to funerals. Deep purple satin, the kind that goes almost black when the light moves. Strapless, sweetheart bodice, the skirt draped and gathered like the dress itself had secrets. A slit up the thigh that meant business, and lace gloves past my elbows. My curls sculpted up and back. A little train that followed me around all night like a rumor. When I came down the staircase, Dorian actually stopped mid-sentence with a client and put his hand over his heart, and the little crowd around him did that soft, "Oh," and he crossed the floor and took both my hands. "You're gonna make me look bad dressed like that." "Baby," I said, "you did that yourself." He laughed. He thought it was a joke. He did that all night, come to think of it. Kept getting handed the truth, gift-wrapped, and kept opening it and laughing. "Let me set the room for you." Hattie Pierce arrived in champagne-colored everything, which I noted, and posted up near the stage receiving congratulations like the mother of a head of state. She air-kissed me and held my shoulders at arm's length, taking inventory. "You look lovely, Shyanne. Tonight is so important for Dorian." "It really is." "Purple." Her eyes went down the dress and came back up, cataloging. "At your own vow renewal." "Well," she patted my arm, "you've always been brave with color. I get it from my grandmother." Said Hattie, who had met my grandmother exactly once and left early. My mother found me by the champagne wall and did the thing mothers do, held my face in one hand and read it like a document. "You all right?" "I'm perfect, Mama." Her eyes narrowed a little. "Selena Harris has been reading my face since it was 2 hours old." "You're something," she said slowly. "I can't tell what yet." She glanced across the room at Dorian, then back at me. Whatever it is, baby, move smart. Mama, I said, I promise you, I have never moved smarter in my life. My daddy did not say much, because Vernon Harris does not say much. He hugged me, held on an extra second, and looked at me when he let go. You look like your grandmother tonight. Which one? The one nobody lied to twice. Then he took a glass of brown liquor to a spot near the back wall where he could see everything, and he watched Dorian work the room the way you watch weather. Cairo found me near the bar, 2 drinks in already, blazer sharp and eyes everywhere but mine. Shy, hey, you look, man, big night, big night. It is. Listen, after all this settles down, we should, all of us, like before, we should... He ran out of road and looked into his glass like the rest of the sentence might be in the ice. Like, before what, Cairo? Yeah, he said to absolutely nothing, and drifted toward the bar. Guilt is quiet in a quiet man. In a loud one, it is deafening. Devin came late, sat at the family table, and looked like a man attending a party on top of a fault line. He kept checking the exits. I stopped by his chair with a smile for the room's benefit. You good? Ask me tomorrow. He tried to hang a laugh on it. It didn't hold. To this day, I do not know exactly what Devin expected, but his body knew something was coming before his brain did. And at 7:22, she arrived. Noelle Taylor entered the room like a woman who had mistaken an invitation for innocence. She wore cream. Of course she did. Soft, clean, professional, the exact outfit a woman wears when she wants everyone to believe she belongs in the room and no one to ask how she got there. She had a little structured handbag and a lanyard, an actual lanyard, launch team, and she moved along the edges of the event, checking on the screen and the podium, like the credit on the program was a job and not a confession. Maribel materialized at my shoulder with 2 glasses. She's here. I know. You want me to trip her? No, not even lightly. These floors are marble, Shyanne. God has provided. Not tonight. Then I did something Maribel still brings up at every holiday. I handed her back my glass, and I walked over and I introduced myself. Noelle? She turned, and for half a second, the face buffered. Then the professional came back online and stuck out a smooth little hand. Mrs. Pierce, it's so nice to finally. The venue turned out beautiful. It did, and I hear you're part of the reason, the brand experience. Oh, I handled small pieces. Dorian's team did the heavy lifting. First name, easy as breathing. She heard it land and smoothed it over. Mr. Pierce, sorry, everybody's casual at the office. I'm sure they are. She glanced past my shoulder, one flick of the eyes looking for him, looking for rescue. I want you to know I enjoyed that flick more than the champagne. Well, she said, I should check the podium mic before the program starts. Please do. There's a moment in the tribute I think you'll want to hear clearly. I'm sure it'll be lovely. It'll be honest. I smiled at her the way my grandmother smiled at door-to-door salesmen. Same thing. In my family. I walked back to Maribel, who was staring at me over her glass like I had grown a second head. You are a different breed, she said. How you feeling? For real. I thought about it. Under all that purple satin, my heart was doing something strange and steady, like a drum that had finally found the song. You know what's funny? I said. I've been scared for 6 weeks. Scared I'd crack. Scared I'd cry, scared I'd look at him and fold, or even try to strangle him, and I just stood 18 inches from his woman in her little cream dress, watched her call my husband by his first name, and I'm not scared of anything. I'm just ready. The papers? In the tribute folder, Ellis texted twice, once to confirm, once to say, quote, remember, exit is the statement, do not improvise, end quote. I love that weird little lawyer. The ceremony itself, I will keep short, because I have some mercy in me. Yes, we renewed vows. Yes, I stood up there in front of God and both mamas and let Dorian Pierce hold my hands and promise me in his warm public voice faithfulness, partnership, forever. He had written his own vows. He said, and I am quoting him exactly because I will never lose the quote, Shyanne, everything I am because you believed in me first. There has never been anyone else in my corner like you. There will never be anyone else. There will never be anyone else. 40 feet away, anyone else adjusted her lanyard. I said mine, short. I said, Dorian, 5 years ago, I promised you at a courthouse that I would hold on until you could give me the whole picture. Tonight, everybody's finally going to see it. The room went all. He teared up. His mother dabbed her eyes. I wanted on the record that I never lied at that podium, not once. Every word I said came true within the hour. Then dinner, then the launch presentation, Dorian on stage with the Pierce and Veil logo behind him, charming, funny, thanking his incredible team, and when he read the acknowledgments, he said her name out loud, in front of everyone. Noelle Taylor, brand experience, y'all give her a hand. And 400 people, including my mother, including his mother, including me, applauded my husband's mistress by name at my anniversary. She did a modest little wave. Maribel's hand locked onto my knee under the table. Steady. I'm steady. You're vibrating. That's the floor, Mari. It's the bass. It is not the bass. And then Brielle was at my elbow, calm as ever, headset light glowing. Mrs. Pierce, the tribute file is ready when you are. I stood up, smoothed the purple satin, picked up the cream folder that matched the stationery. Mrs. Pierce, Brielle said, and I stopped. She looked at me for one extra second, this composed, watchful woman who had spent 6 weeks copying me on every email, who had sent the walkthrough sign-in sheet, who missed nothing, and I truly believe to this day that Brielle Sato had done the math weeks ago and simply decided that her job was the run of show, not the marriage. Take your time up there, she said. The screen is yours as long as you need it. God bless women who document everything. Chapter 10. The Tribute That Turned. They dimmed the lights. The trio went quiet. Somebody handed me a microphone that was warm from the MC's hand, and I stood on that stage looking at everything I was about to end. Dorian sat front and center at the sweetheart table, jacket open, glass of champagne, king of the night. Hattie beside him, radiant, my parents to the left. Maribel at the family table with her clutch in her lap like a woman holding a passport at a border. Noelle stood along the side wall near the AV table, professional to the last. And I noted, everyone noted later, that she had positioned herself where she could see him. Good evening, I said. For those who don't know me, I'm the wife. Laughter. Warm. Easy. They had no idea what that sentence was carrying. 5 years ago, Dorian and I got married at the Hunt County Courthouse on a Tuesday. I wore a $41 dress. Our witnesses were my cousin Maribel and a bailiff named Gary, who was on his lunch. Laughter again. Maribel raised her glass. We had $312, one good car, and a promise. Dorian told me that day, hold this receipt. One day, I'll give you the whole thing. I looked at him. He blew me a kiss. Lord, he blew me a kiss. And he did. Look at this room. My husband is a man who keeps his promises. I let that sit. So tonight, I want to return the favor. Dorian, baby, I made you something. You asked to see it twice and I told you no, because I wanted you to experience it with everybody we love. So here it is, 5 years of us, the whole picture. I nodded at the AV table. The screen bloomed. And for 90 seconds, it was beautiful. It really was. I made sure of it, because the sweetness was the trap and also because it was true. The courthouse photo, both of us young and skinny and terrified. Us painting the first apartment, spaghetti on the estate sale table. Him asleep on my shoulder on the megabus. The frosted glass door with his name, the day it went up. him touching the letters. People were dabbing their eyes. Hattie had her hand on her chest. The music swelled. Then the screen went black for 2 full seconds, and white text came up, plain, no music. But a marriage is more than its highlights. Here's what else we built. The next slide was a text message, blown up wall-sized. Boys Night W. Cairo and them, don't wait up. Love you. Time-stamped 4:07 p.m. Then, beside it, the second text. Cairo talking my ear off Noelle. Be home by 12, time-stamped 10:52 p.m. Same night. A confused ripple went through the room. People still thought it might be a bit. Cairo did not think it was a bit. Cairo had gone the color of the tablecloth. Next slide. The juniper room, the window booth, gold light, velvet. My husband's arm around a woman in a satin top, his fork at her mouth, chocolate cake. The timestamp sat in the corner. The 17th of March. Boys' Night. The room made a sound I had never heard 400 people make. Not a gasp, lower than that, like a building settling. That photograph, I said into the microphone, calm, factual, the way Ellis taught me, was taken on the 17th of March while my husband was at boys' night with Cairo Bell. Shyanne. Dorian was standing now. Shyanne, turn it off. Next slide, the event program. Our names in gold at the top and below, highlighted in yellow, in print, in the document every guest was currently holding at their table. Noelle Taylor, Brand Experience Coordinator, Pierce & Vail Consulting Launch Team. Next slide, the networking mixer photo from last fall, Dorian and the same woman from the booth side by side. Next slide, the vendor walkthrough sign-in sheet, her signature, her printed name, dated 5 weeks ago, my venue. You could watch the math travel across the room in a wave, heads going down to the programs on the tables, then up to the woman in cream by the AV table, then to the screen, then to Dorian. Down, up, over, over. 400 people doing the same arithmetic I did on Maribel's couch, arriving at the same terrible sum. Noelle had gone completely still against the wall. Cream dress, lanyard, nowhere on earth to put her eyes. Dorian started toward the stage. Okay, that's enough. This is not what it looks like, Shyanne, baby. Not like this. Then he turned to the room, and I watched the salesman reach for the pitch one last time. Hands up. The reassurance smile at half power. Everybody, listen. We're going to take 5 minutes, all right? This is a misunderstanding, and, Cairo. He found his friend at table 9 the way a drowning man finds a rope. Cairo, tell them, Tuesdays, tell them where I am on Tuesdays. Cairo stood up slow. Every eye in the building went with him. And Cairo Bell, who had been covering for this man since they were 19 years old, looked at his best friend for a long, long moment and set his drink down. I can't, Dee. 2 words. The alibi died in front of 400 witnesses with the body still warm, and I watched Dorian feel it go. He wheeled back to me, and his voice dropped into the register he saved for hotel lobbies and arguments in the car. You really want to embarrass us in front of everybody? Us? I let the word sit in the microphone. You embarrassed us in a window booth downtown, baby, with dessert. All I did tonight was turn on the lights. Not like this, he said again, weaker. Not like this, I repeated into the microphone, and I heard my own voice fill that beautiful room, and it did not shake. People told me afterward how composed I was. I was not composed, I was aimed. There is a difference, and Dorian Pierce is the difference. That's interesting, because I've been thinking for 6 weeks about how you wanted it, and here's what I know. I came down the stage steps, slow, purple satin, microphone, the folder under my arm. The spotlight operator, a 19-year-old named Marcus, who I tipped $200 afterward, followed me like we had rehearsed it. I could have survived the cheating. I said it to him, but the mic gave it to everyone. I want you to know that. I would have been broken, but I would have survived it. Couples survive it. I've watched them do it my whole life. I stopped in front of him, And I will tell you something now that I have never told anybody but Maribel. Standing there, I looked for him, the 240 man, the one who tapped the counter twice and laughed from his chest and was happy to lose to me. I looked in that face for one full second, in front of 400 people, and I could not find that man anywhere. He had been gone a long time. And no, I will not stand here and tell you he was never real, because I will not do that to the girl who married him. He was real, and he was gone. And the grief of that walked through me right there in the middle of my own revenge, one cold wave of it, and then it passed, and what was left was the work. What I could not survive was finding out that while I was choosing flowers to celebrate our marriage, my husband had already given his mistress a job planning the party. You didn't hide her, Dorian. You credited her. Her name is on the program at every table in this room, and you're the one who put it there. So don't stand here acting shocked that I read it. Oh, and since tonight is about the new brand. I turned so the whole room could have this part. The veil in Pierce & Veil? That came out of her portfolio, too. Naming and identity, it's one of her services. My husband did not just bring his mistress into our celebration, y'all. He put her in the company name. She's on the letterhead. Congratulations on the launch, baby. Shyanne. Hattie was up now, champagne-colored and furious, voice pitched for the back row. Whatever this is not the way. This family did not deserve this embarrassment. You could have handled this with dignity. And from the back wall, not loud, not even fully standing, my father set down his glass. My daughter did not deserve the reason for it. That was all Vernon Harris said the entire night. It landed like a verdict. Hattie opened her mouth and looked at my father's face and closed it and sat down, and I watched 60 years of respectability politics lose a fight in 4 seconds flat. Devin stood up at the family table. He looked gray. Ma, stop. Just stop. He turned to his brother and his voice cracked in the middle. He made this mess, not her. I didn't know about the program. I swear to God I didn't know that part, but I knew you were moving wrong, Dee, and I said nothing, and I have to live with that. But you do not get to stand in this room and be the victim. Not tonight. Dorian looked at his brother like he had been shot from a direction he had never once guarded. And then my mother stood up. She did not say one word. Selena Harris, who had spent her whole life more afraid of gossip than of fire, who had told me to move smart and handle it private, walked across the front of that room, in front of every raised phone in it, and came and stood at my shoulder. I felt her hand settle flat on my back, right between the shoulder blades, the same place she used to pat me to sleep. I had budgeted for rage that night. I had budgeted for his face, her face, all of it. I had not budgeted for that hand. I had to look at the chandelier for a second and breathe. And then, because the universe has a sense of theater, Noelle finally spoke. She had come off the wall a few steps, hands up a little, professional voice on, and she said the sentence she had clearly been saving for months in case of emergency. I was invited. The room turned to her as one animal. I know, I said, and I walked to her. Everybody says it was silent. I do not remember silence. I remember my own heels on the marble. 1, 2, 3, 4. She held her ground. I will give her that. Chin up, eyes wet and defiant at the same time, and up close she was younger than the photos and wearing his favorite perfume, mine, the one he bought me, and I filed that away too. One last receipt, no charge. I peeled off my left glove. Finger by finger, taking my time, the room so quiet I could hear the lace let go. 400 people watched a woman undress one hand and understood, before I touched the ring, exactly what was about to leave it. I took off my ring. I did not throw it. Throwing it would have given them something dramatic to complain about, a story about the crazy wife, and besides, my grandmother helped pick that setting. No. I took her champagne glass off the cocktail table beside her, set it down square, and placed my wedding ring next to it, gentle as a tip. You accepted the invitation, I said, so you might as well take the symbol. He emptied it out before you ever got here. You're not taking anything from me tonight, sweetheart. You're just getting the receipt. Her voice came out low, meant for just the two of us, except the room was so quiet there was no such thing anymore. He told me it was already over between you. He said things were complicated. He renewed his vows to me 40 minutes ago. I nodded at the stage, at the flowers, at the whole golden machine she had helped build. You watched. She looked down at the ring and her mouth trembled, and for 1 second the professional mask slipped all the way off, and underneath it was just a 26-year-old girl who had told herself a story about a complicated man standing in a room where the story had ended out loud. I felt 1 cold teaspoon of pity. I let myself feel it. Then I turned around. Dorian was standing in the middle of his own launch party with his tie crooked, and this is the detail I will keep until I die. He was looking around the room for help, scanning his mother, Cairo, his brother, his clients. The man had spent 31 years in rooms that organized themselves around him, and I watched him understand, in real time, in front of the projection screen with his own logo on it, that the room was closed. I opened the cream folder and put the petition against his chest, and his hand came up and took it, automatic, the way you catch something falling. You've been served, baby, I said. Ellis Rowan's office, 9 a.m., Monday. They validate parking. Shyanne. His voice had nothing left in it. No warm, no smooth. Just my name. Raw. 5 years too late. Not like this. Please, we can... You know me. I do know you. I looked at him one last time as a wife. And you told the truth tonight, up on that stage. There will never be anyone else. Not after this. You cleared every seat yourself. I handed the microphone to Brielle, who received it like it was part of the run of show, which, by then, I suppose it was. So my last words in that room were just mine, just for him, but the room was so quiet they carried anyway. You chose the room, Dorian. I just chose the truth. And for the record, I looked around the Astor Hall one time, the flowers, the screen, the 400 faces, the whole beautiful, expensive lie. You finally kept your promise. You gave me the whole thing. I picked up my clutch from the family table. Maribel stood, my mother stood. My father was already at the door holding my coat, because Vernon Harris had apparently decided somewhere around the second slide exactly how this night was going to end and had gone to get the coat. I came here tonight as Shyanne Harris-Pierce, I said, to no one, to everyone. I'm leaving as Shyanne Harris. And I walked out of my own vow renewal into the parking lot with my family, and the doors closed on that gorgeous ruined room, and I heard it start behind us. The roar, 400 phones and mouths going off at once. The night air found my bare left hand first. It felt light, strange, like a word you have said so many times it comes apart in your mouth. 5 years of wait, gone, and I want to be honest with you the way I promised at the beginning. It did not feel like freedom yet. It felt like a missing tooth. Freedom came later. That night, it was just new and cold and mine. Maribel put her arm through mine and said, "Not gonna lie, cousin, that was better than stabbing him." Told you. Marginally. Chapter 11. Apologies and New Beginnings. People always ask why I did it there. Why not confront him at home? Why not cancel the event quietly, with dignity, the way Hattie would have wanted, the way, honestly, my own mama would have wanted 6 weeks earlier? Because privately was where he lied. Privately was where he smiled at his phone and told me I was imagining things. Privately was where he made promises with one hand and opened doors for Noelle Taylor with the other. Private was his home field. He was undefeated there. He made the disrespect public the moment he put her name on that program. I did not expose my marriage. I finished a sentence he started. It has been a few months now. Here is where everything landed, and I will tell it plain, because real endings are not fireworks. They are paperwork. The divorce is final, and since everybody asks, I will tell you what final looked like, because I earned every line of it. Texas is a community property state, and Ellis walked into mediation with that organized folder and walked out with what the paperwork calls a disproportionate division in my favor. On account of the adultery and on account of, quote, the documented contribution of the spouse to the community business. That second part means the court counted my nights. 4 years of invoices in my handwriting turned out to be admissible, and admissible turned out to be expensive. I got more than half of everything we built, a settlement out of the firm I kept the books for, my accounts, my car, my grandmother's things, and my peace. Ellis calls it a disproportionate division. I call it back pay. Dorian did not fight it. Fighting meant depositions, and depositions meant more truth going on the record, under oath, with a court reporter typing. Dorian Pierce had lost his appetite for truth on the record. I kept the house too. Then I sold the house. I know some women keep it as the trophy, and I understand them, but I did not want to win rooms that man had lied in. I wanted new light, so I cashed his memories out at market rate and let a nice young couple paint over all of it. Ellis was right about everything, by the way, which he has been professional enough to say out loud only twice. Also, I never unsubscribed that man from anything. Somewhere in Esby tonight, Dorian Pierce is deleting an email about pontoon financing, and I want you to know that is my love language now. Healing does not mean you stop being petty. Healing means your pettiness no longer has your whole heart attached to it. Now it's just a hobby. Pierce and Vale survived, technically. But Esby is a big city with a small mouth, and it turns out that clients who hire you to manage their image get nervous when 400 people watch yours collapse between the entree and dessert. 2 partners walked. The frosted glass office got smaller. He is not destroyed. That only happens in the movies. He is just discounted, which is worse for a man like Dorian, and he knows it. He kept the name, by the way. Pierce and Vale. Couldn't afford to rebrand twice. So every morning that man walks into a building with his mistress's word on the door, and every person in this city who is at the Astor Hall knows exactly where the word came from. I did not do that to him. He did that to him. I just made sure everybody could read it. Noelle left the firm before the firm could decide what to do about her. Her website says she relocated to Houston. She kept the ring for 11 days, then mailed it to Ellis's office in a padded envelope with no note. I had it melted down. It is a very small gold bird now, and it sits on my windowsill, and I like it more than I ever liked it on my hand. As for me, the house money bought a new start, and I did not waste it. A month ago, I closed on a place with good morning light. My home, small and bright, and not one wall in it has ever heard that man lie. Then I gave my notice at the dental office, hugs all around, Dr. Okafor cried a little, and I hung out my own shingle. Harris Bookkeeping. It runs out of my second bedroom for now. Small businesses, downtown mostly. Tomas was my first client, which means the Juniper Room's numbers are immaculate, and not one thing happens on that block without me hearing about it. I price fair and I read fine print for a living. Been doing that since a Tuesday at a dental office counter, if we are being honest. I just finally started sending invoices for it. Cairo apologized. Actually apologized, on my parents' porch, no jokes, hat literally in his hand. I told myself I was staying out of married folks' business, he said, but staying out was how he stayed in it. I'm sorry, Shy. I accepted it. We are not what we were. We are not nothing either. Some things live in that middle place forever, and that's all right. Devin came by 2 Sundays ago with a toolbox, because that is how Pierce men apologize. They fix things. He hung the shelves in my new place, and afterward we ended up on the little porch with sweet tea, and he got quiet the way he does right before he says something real. He asked about you. And what did you tell him? That you're good, new place, your own business now. He turned his glass around in his hands. He went real quiet after that. I think it hurt him worse than the slideshow did. Good, I said. And then, softer, because I am still me. How is he? Waiting for it to blow over. Devin shook his head slow. He still thinks consequences are weather shy. something that passes if you stand under the right awning. I keep thinking about that dinner at Ma's house, the night I almost said something, if I had opened my mouth. You weren't the one married to me, Devin. No. He looked out at the street. But I was the one who knew you deserved better and passed the potatoes anyway. I let that sit because it was true and because he needed to say it more than I needed to fix it. Ma still isn't calling you, huh? No. She thinks that's a punishment. I know. I tap my glass against his. Don't tell her it's a gift. He laughed then and surprised himself, loud on that quiet street. And for a second, he looked like somebody's little brother again instead of somebody's witness. My mother came over Sunday with a pound cake and sat at my new little table, and out of nowhere, hands around her coffee cup, she said, I should have trusted what you felt. I was so busy trying to keep you from becoming gossip that I left you alone in it. That was wrong, and I knew better, and I'm sorry. And then she cried, and I cried. And the pound cake did what pound cake does. Maribel is Maribel. She has told the sidewalk story at every function since, and the knife gets 3 inches longer every time. Last month, she introduced me to somebody as my cousin, the one from the thing, and the woman's whole face lit up, and I realized I have become downtown folklore. There are worse things. I have been worse things. And last Sunday, I baked my grandmother's chocolate cake. From scratch, the way she taught me, in my new kitchen for nobody's birthday and no man's mouth. Maribel came over and we ate it, standing up at the counter with 2 forks and no plates, laughing about something that does not matter, and I want you to know something. It tasted like mine again. And one more thing, because I saved it on purpose. You know, the day I signed for my house, the agent slid the paper across the desk, tapped the line at the bottom, and I wrote my name. Shyanne Harris. I sat and looked at it a minute. It looked like the courthouse girl, back before she started holding receipts for other people. So here's the end of it, and then I'll let you go. Dorian Pierce wanted a celebration. One night, everybody who mattered, all the lights on, showing the world what we built. So I gave him one. I celebrated the last night I ever carried his name.
And there it is, Dreadfuls. Not every woman leaves screaming. Some leave with receipts, a cream envelope, and a microphone that still smells like consequences. Now I need to know what you think. Was Shyanne wrong for exposing Dorian in front of everybody? Or did he choose that room the moment he put Noelle's name on the program? Could you have stayed calm for 6 weeks, or would the Juniper room have needed security and prayer? And be honest with me, Dreadfuls. Was Noelle a victim of Dorian's lies, or did she know exactly whose marriage she was helping decorate? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I know y'all have opinions and I want every dreadful little one. Like the video, share it with somebody who knows a man who mistakes silence for permission, and subscribe to Cyn Dreadful for more stories where the truth does not knock politely, or don't. But if your name ever ends up on the wrong woman's program, just know somebody might read it out loud.
The prettiest cages are usually the hardest ones to see. Like, share, and subscribe for more dreadful little stories. Or don't. Curiosity usually brings you back.